Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, ma'am.
Yeah. We'll start in 2 minutes. We'll wait till some more have joined.
Yes, ma'am. I'll just put
Okay, should we start?
Yes, ma'am. We can start.
Yeah. Okay, am I audible now?
Yes.
Am I audible? The sound quality is good?
Yes, ma'am.
Rishikesh, I'm unable to hear you. But am I audible?
Hello.
Hello? Yes, Rishikesh, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. You're audible.
Okay,
Fine.
we'll start then. Okay, now in the last class, we had learned the important features of TCP, and we had learned about TCP connection establishment, because TCP is a connection oriented protocol. So TCP, how a connection is established in TCP and how it is released. These two things we had learned last class. We know that it's a symmetric release, and for connection establishment, we know that it is a three-way handshake protocol. Okay. I had also told you what is the transmission policy. This also we learned in the last class. That is dynamically it's a sliding window protocol, and dynamically the sender and the receiver's window are adjusted so that the sender doesn't overflow the receiver. Okay. Then we had learned this also in the last class. I had told you what is a silly window syndrome. When continuously 1 byte window update is being sent to the sender and the sender keeps on sending only 1 byte at a time. So that is not a very good method of transmitting the data. Okay. That's why Clark, he was a researcher and he has proposed a solution for the silly window syndrome, that is to decide a window size which is big enough, which is a decent window size, maybe of 1 chunk or 2 chunks, so that every time 1 byte data is processed, we don't keep on sending the window update. So this can be overcome with the help of silly windows, with the help of Clark's solution. Okay. Now today what we are going to learn is TCP timer management. Now TCP is a very robust protocol and it maintains a number of timers while it is functioning, while it is in process. TCP is going to maintain its own set of timers. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So there are 3 different types of, actually there are many more, but in your syllabus, what we are going to learn is 3 different types of timers, which have 3 various functions to perform. Now, one type of timer that is used in TCP is called as a retransmission timer, which we have learned in other protocols also. Then the second type of timer that we have, it is called as persistence timer. And one more timer that is used in TCP is known as keep alive timer. Okay. So we have the retransmission timer, the persistence timer, and the keep alive timer. First of all, you must know what is meant by a timer. Usually when 2 parties are interacting with each other, when 2 machines are interacting with each other, these timers keep track of the amount of time that elapses. Maybe when a segment of data or a packet of data is being sent from the sender to receiver, how much time is required to reach the receiver, or how much time is required to get an acknowledgement back. This is known by maintaining what we call as timers. And in TCP, there are at least 3 important timers which we must know. One is retransmission timer, second is persistence timer, and the third type of timer is called as a keep alive timer. Okay, we will learn one by one each one of them. Now the name itself is suggesting what is the first type of timer called as. It is known as retransmission timer. Yeah, basically in any protocol, when data segment is being sent, usually an acknowledgement comes back telling the sender whether that particular packet reached correctly to the receiver or not. Okay, so when a segment of data is sent, immediately what is started is the retransmission timer. Now, why do we require the retransmission timer? Suppose by chance, while sending the data gets lost or the data gets corrupted, data has errors. In that case, the acknowledgement will not be sent back, okay? Or the acknowledgement doesn't come back. In such a scenario, it is required to retransmit the data once again. So retransmission timer is one which keeps track of whether the segment of data is sent correctly and whether the acknowledgement has come back intact. Okay, so have a look at all the points that are there on the slide. Retransmission timer is started as soon as a segment of data or a packet of data is sent. The moment the segment of data reaches, immediately the receiver is going to send back an acknowledgement. Now, if the acknowledgement reaches back to the sender before the timer expires, then no problem. The timer is stopped. The next segment or the next set of data is sent. Okay, but by chance, suppose we send a segment of data, a packet of data, and the acknowledgement doesn't come back. In that case, that means if the acknowledgement is not reached, that means either the packet is lost or the packet is having some error, or there is some problem with the data segment that is sent. So how long can the sender wait for the acknowledgement? The sender will wait for a fixed period of time which is specified in the retransmission timer. For example, suppose I have set the retransmission timer to 5 seconds. So in 5 seconds, the data has to reach the receiver, and the acknowledgement has to come back. So if the acknowledgement doesn't come back in 5 seconds, then the data segment is retransmitted once again. Okay. Now, one important aspect of retransmission timer is how much should be the time interval. Usually, suppose if the time interval is very small, for example, if a particular packet requires 2 seconds to go and for 2 seconds to come back for the acknowledgement. So minimum 4 seconds have to elapse. But suppose you set it to too small. That is, if the retransmission time interval is set to say 1 second, the acknowledgement never will reach back in time. A lot of unnecessary retransmissions are going to happen. Okay, so that can be avoided. Or suppose you try to set the time interval to too large. Suppose 5 seconds are enough, but you have set it to 10 seconds. Then the protocol is going to suffer because till 10 seconds it is going to wait for the retransmission to occur. So what is required is a dynamic algorithm which can adjust to the times, and depending on the necessity, either dynamically that time interval can be set. It need not be too small or it need not be too large, depending on the network conditions and what is the traffic inside the network, that particular time interval can be set. Okay. So this is the first type of timer, which is called as retransmission timer. Then the second type of timer that we have is called as persistence timer. Now this persistence timer is a very unique kind of timer, which is designed to prevent deadlocks. Designed to prevent deadlocks means what you should understand first. So we'll try to understand when can a deadlock occur. After that, I will tell you after that I'll tell you how to prevent deadlocks, or how is deadlock prevented in persistence time. So say two machines, that is sender and the receiver, are interacting with each other. Okay. Imagine there is a sender and there is a receiver. Okay. Now both of them, they are connection. It's a connection oriented protocol. So first they set up a connection and then data transmission will happen. So suppose the sender is sending one data packet to the receiver. Now after the data packet comes to the receiver, imagine the receiver's buffer has become full. So immediately after the receiver's buffer becomes full, the receiver will send back the acknowledgement, and it will also send window size is equal to 0. Now when this window size is equal to 0 comes to the sender blocks itself. Why it blocks? Because receiver's buffer has become full. If it transmits any more data, the receiver's buffer will overflow. To avoid that, the sender will block. So imagine for certain amount of time sender has blocked. The receiver is processing the data. Once the data processing is over, imagine the receiver is sending back a window update of about 1K. So 1024 bytes amount of space is available. And imagine that window update is going to the sender. But on the way, something went wrong with that packet of window update and it got lost on the way. Means it never reaches the sender. So at the receiver side, it has sent, but the sender is waiting. Sender did not get it. Now look at the scene. The sender is blocked because window size has been set to 0. The receiver has updated the window size, but it is waiting for new data segment, which is not happening because this update of window size got lost on the way. Now what is happening? Sender is waiting for receiver to send something. Receiver is waiting for sender to send something. Both of them will keep on waiting for each other for a long time, which will give rise to what we call as a deadlock. Okay. So now to avoid this situation, suppose by chance the sender has sent data, window size has been updated to 0. sender has blocked, and window update does come, but it gets lost on the way. At that time, a timer called as persistence timer is used, which is set to certain interval of time. So after the persistence timer expires, the sender will send a probe to the receiver. A probe is nothing but a query. Query is just as good as asking. Sender is asking the receiver, are you there? Have you updated is your buffer empty, or is it possible for me to send data? So it is like asking, it's querying the receiver whether the receiver is active or not. Now the receiver comes to know that there was some error, the window update had got lost on the way, so it once again sends the updated window size to the sender. Sender comes to know, it unblocks itself, and then it transmits the data. So this particular persistence timer is very unique. It has got this ability to prevent a deadlock. Now you understood what is meant by a deadlock and how it got prevented?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. So what we will do next is we'll try to have a look at the third type of timer, which is
Keep alive.
Yeah, we call it as the keep alive timer. Just 1 second. Yeah, the third type of timer is called as a keep alive timer. Now this timer also is quite unique. Since TCP is a connection oriented protocol, sometimes what happens is the connection becomes idle. The connection is there, but no data transmission is happening. So when a connection is idle for a long time, the keep alive timer is used to check if the other side is alive. Alive means active. So if the other end immediately responds to that keep alive timer, the sender comes to know that the connection is active. Otherwise, if the other end doesn't respond, then the connection is terminated. I'll give you one example for the keep alive timer. Okay, just imagine a sender and the receiver are communicating with each other. Now, due to sender has sent some data to the receiver, and receiver also has acknowledged that data. Now, suppose by chance, the sender's machine, which is at one end of the world, all of a sudden it stops working. Okay, and the receiver's machine is working. So what happens is the connection is there. Maybe the sender's machine has become inactive. It is not working, or maybe the user has not generated data, or maybe some sort of a problem has occurred. The connection is there, but the machine is not active. In that case, the receiver can send a the receiver can maintain this kind of a timer, which is called as keep alive timer. So say, for example, the connection is inactive for 5 minutes. So after 5 minutes, when the keep alive timer expires, the receiver will send a probe to the sender. And if the sender responds saying that, yes, the processing is happening and I'm unable to send data at some time, the connection will remain active. Otherwise, if the other end, suppose the sender is unable to send any response to it, then the connection is terminated. This type of a timer, we call it as keep alive timer. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So we will now have a look at the last part of this chapter. Okay. We will be learning how congestion control happens in TCP. Now, first, to understand how congestion control happens in TCP, we will try to go back to the definition of congestion. Okay. Do you remember I had told you what is congestion? Usually, when the traffic inside the subnet increases and there is too much load on the subnet, then the subnet is unable to carry the packets of data to the destination. And such a downgraded scenario, we call it as congestion. So TCP has its own way of controlling the congestion. And we call it as, it's similar to a combination of open loop and closed loop control. Basically, it is a closed loop control method where TCP keeps on getting feedback from the subnet, and depending on the feedback that has come, it adjusts the number of packets that it is sending. So suppose the subnet is full and the subnet is, overloaded. In that case, acknowledgements will not come back in time. In that case, the TCP will adjust itself to send less number of packets. When less number of packets go into the subnet is not loaded and it avoids congestion. So this is one important way of controlling congestion. For understanding how congestion control happens in TCP, I want you all to have a look at this diagram, okay? Now, to make you all understand how TCP congestion control works, let me start from here. This particular graph that is shown on the screen shows you how congestion control happens. Initially, imagine a sender and a receiver are interacting with each other. So when the sender starts sending the data, it won't send at once lot of data. Initially, it will send one segment of data or maybe one MTU of data and waits for the acknowledgement. So I want you all to have a look at this part of the graph. Can you all see what I have circled now? Okay, it is showing you that initially one packet is sent. Okay, suppose the acknowledgement to that packet comes back in time. In that case, the number of packets are doubled. So next time, instead of 1, 2 packets are sent. Can you see this part of the diagram? Okay, so 2 packets are sent. All right. Yeah. Now, if again those 2 packets go to the receiver correctly, acknowledgement comes back in time, then again it increases the number of packets. Maybe 4 packets are sent. Okay, so it's doubling every time. 1, then 2, then 4. Now, if for all the 4 packets also go to the receiver correctly, and if the acknowledgement comes back, then again the number of packets are double. Next time 16 packets are sent. Can you see this part? Yeah?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
yeah.
ma'am.
So now what is happening? Because acknowledgements are coming back in time, the sender is assured that there is no congestion inside the subnet. So it is doubling the number of packets that it is sending. Now this keeps on happening till certain point. For example, imagine this is the threshold. Threshold means some minimum, okay? To certain point, this doubling of packets happens. That is, all the acknowledgements are coming back. So all the time the sender is sending double number of packets. So initially 1, then 2, then 4, then 16, then 32, then 64, and so on. So at some point, which we call as the threshold, which is usually predefined. At that point, now you can observe, if you see this part of the curve, it is exponential. Why it is exponential? Because it is doubling every time. But after it reaches certain threshold, then the increase in the number of packets is not double. Can you see this part of the curve? Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you all can observe that now the increase is there, but it is linear. I want you to see this part of the curve, which I'm trying to show you now. This part of the curve is exponential, and this part of the curve is linear. Linear means the increment happens, but it doesn't increment exponentially, or it doesn't keep on doubling. Just it keeps on sending a few more packets than usual. So at some point, suppose there is a congestion inside the network. So if congestion is there, acknowledgements will not come in time. Now, if acknowledgements are not coming in time, then the timeout will occur and the retransmission of packets has to increase. So in that case, now you must observe what is happening to this curve. The curve is reset. The window size is reset to half of the previous. So previously, suppose it was somewhere at say 32 or maybe 40, 42. Now it is brought to about 20. You can see here. This is about say 40, around 40. Somewhere to 32 is the threshold now that is set. So again, the whole procedure restarts. initially one packet is sent, then again, if acknowledgements are coming back, 2 packets are sent, then there's an exponential increase. So just like the previous. So this part of the curve and this part of the curve, you all can observe it is same. Only thing is there the window size is large, here the window size becomes less. Again, after it reaches a threshold, linear increase is going to be there. So dynamically, depending on the traffic inside the network, the sender adjusts itself and it doesn't overload the receiver. It will set the threshold to half of previous, assuming that maybe there is a congestion, so acknowledgements are not coming in time. So when it adjusts, again things are set in a proper way and the packets start reaching the destination correctly. Okay, now I want you all to let me know if you people understood whatever we have learned, because I think this is the end of 4th unit. We will have to start with the 5th unit in the next class. So if anybody has any doubt, you people just unmute yourself and ask me.
Ma'am, in the timer, second type of timer was there.
Yeah, I'll go to that. Just 1 minute. Yeah, persistence timer, is it?
Yes.
Yeah, tell me.
Ma'am, after the window. Ma'am, after that.
Sorry, I'm unable to hear you, Rishikesh.
Ma'am, after that second step, when window size equal to 0.
Huh.
Ma'am, then window update equals to 1K lost on the way. Ma'am, that particular part I didn't.
Okay, should I repeat it again?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so just we will go back to this. Imagine there are 2 machines, sender and the receiver. Sender has sent some data to the receiver. This is the first step. Okay, so when that sender sends the data to the receiver, just 1 minute. When the sender sends data to the receiver, the receiver, imagine its buffer becomes full. When the receiver's buffer becomes full, imagine the receiver is sending back a window size equal to 0. Now, when the receiver advertises its window size is equal to 0, the sender will block itself because sender can't send any more data because there's no buffer at the receiver. So imagine after some time, receiver has processed the data and it has sent a window update of say about 1K. Just an example of 1K means 1024 bytes buffer space is available. This update is on the way to the sender, but something goes wrong in the subnet and this update stops. That is, it gets lost on the way. Now, if it gets lost on the way, there is no way the sender will come to know that the receiver is ready to take new data. So sender is still blocking only. It is not working. It is still remaining in block state because it has not got this window update. It is lost on the way. So how long should the sender wait? Sender can't keep on waiting infinitely. So sender will wait only for certain period of time which is set or which is according to the persistence timer. Say for example, persistence timer is set to 5 seconds. So if the persistence timer is set to 5 seconds, and suppose a window update doesn't come to the sender, after 5 seconds, the sender is going to probe the receiver. So when it sends a probe to the receiver comes to know that something went wrong with the previous window update. Maybe it never reached the receiver, and hence it once again retransmits that window size, say equal to 1K. Now when that comes to the sender will come to know that receiver is ready to accept the data, and once again the retransmission will start. If suppose persistence timer was not there and the receiver had already sent a window update, the sender will keep on waiting. Receiver will also keep on waiting for a long time. Nothing is going to happen and both are going to face a deadlock. To avoid this deadlock, the persistence timer is used.
Yes, ma'am.
Am I
Understood.
clear now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Any other doubt you people have got? You can unmute yourself and ask me. No other doubt? Should I assume that everybody is clear with what we learned today?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Just Rishikesh, you can interact with everyone on your WhatsApp group and give me a feedback about what do you feel about these classes? Do you want any change in the PPTs or if at all, if clarity is not there, maybe I can work on it and try to make it even more interactive. Now, there are certain restrictions or some limitations with this Zoom chat or Zoom meeting. So I'm
Yeah.
restricted to that. Nevertheless, if you people feel you want to give me some suggestion on making this more interactive, please let me know. Just talk to your friends on your group and let me know.
Okay. Ma'am.
Okay. And so this is the end of 4th unit. Now we have received one circular from the university that instead of second internal, will have to give you some assignments. Okay. And that itself will count for second internal marks. Now I will let you know because we are going to have a staff meeting very shortly. I will let you know about the assignment. You people have to write the assignment and submit it to me. How to submit, I will let you know. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, yesterday English ma'am sent one assignment
Okay.
that we have to send her on her email.
On her email. All right. So that similarly, we also will come up with something because it looks like this lockdown is going to extend for a few more days. So we have to manage with whatever possible resources. Okay.
Ma'am, also they're also concerned about exam. What will happen? Exam date.
That's what we will surely get to know at least 15 days in advance. As of now, since the whole scenario is not really favorable and still not clear, we will assume that maybe at least for 8-10 days, at least the lockdown will continue. Let's assume maybe it is more than that. But whatever be the case, surely students will not be at loss. They will not suffer. You people will definitely come to know at least 10 to 15 days in advance about the exam. So don't worry about that. But keep studying for exam, assuming that exam will be there.
Yes.
Okay.
Ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, third timer explain please.
Sorry. Third timer you want me to explain again?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Just 1 minute. Okay, now this keep alive timer is there. Now it is just to check whether if two machines are interacting with each other, any one of them may by chance become inactive. It may become idle. The connection may become idle for a long time. So suppose it's like, suppose you're talking to your friend on the phone and you are talking and then she asks you to hold for some time. And then you hold and you keep on holding for a long time. So you don't know whether your friend is still there on the line or whether she has disconnected the phone, nothing you know. So what you do, you just say, hello, are you there? You ask on the phone. That is as good as a keep alive timer. If your friend responds saying that, yes, I'm there, just wait for some time, you wait. If your friend doesn't respond, you decide to disconnect the call. Same way is keep alive timer. If at all the keep alive time, if at all two machines are interacting and suppose a connection has become idle for a long time, for certain amount of time that keep alive timer interval is set. So suppose that keep alive timer interval expires. After that, any one of the two sides wants to know whether the other end is present or not, it can send a probe. And if it gets a response, then the connection will remain. If it doesn't respond, the connection will terminate. Okay, Neha?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I think we are almost running out of time now. I will be conducting few more classes. I'll just let you know in few days whether we are going to continue on Zoom or whether we are going to shift to TCS online classes. we are working on it, but we will let you know shortly. All right.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay. We will end this class. Thank you for attending, and we will meet again maybe tomorrow or day after. I'll keep you posted. Okay. Bye.
Yes, ma'am.